All right, guys, we are back. You are listening to K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I am your host, Yoshi Shiraki. My special guest is Justin Puchar. Justin, thank you for being here today, and I'm excited to hear this nightmare story.
So we're going to go back, and I pulled this out of my vault because of the current environment we're in. Like, I like to go back and predict, you know, how I did in the past is how I'm going to do in the future, right? Based on how I learned.
Yeah.
So this comes from 2010. So, you know, I'm a realtor. So there's a combination of realtor and investment.
Okay.
So I bought this house to flip, and I was actually a little nervous about it. So I asked one of my friends, a really good investor, and I said, how do you equate this? And he used baseball terms. He's like, it's better than a single, so it's more like a double. It's not a home run, but, you know, as you go to the Hall of Fame, you hit a lot of singles, a lot of doubles. So this was a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
So, but let me equate to what was happening in the market. So we peaked in 2007 as a real estate economy, and it started to fade. So more foreclosures were happening. The government issued stimulus to try to get people back. So there was an $8,000 federal tax credit for a first-time home buyer.
Oh, wow.
So people were rushing. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
They're rushing to qualify. They want to buy, and it was kind of putting some sales in our pockets, right?
Yeah.
That we probably wouldn't get. So what happened is, so I bought this property, right? And I think I bought it for about 65 grand. It was distressed. It was on 9th West in Salt Lake, kind of that, you know, Glendale, Sugar House, or Rose Park, you know, crossing there. A little bit of a busier street. Great house. It was a Burke Rambler.
Okay.
You know, you could kind of tell there'd been 3 different additions over its time period of, you know, 80 years of ownership. It was decent, right? We had to put in a new kitchen, new bathroom, flooring. It was sloped in the back. Well, it was covered up really well. There was no foundation on the back third.
Oh.
And so we had to put in a foundation, right?
Yep.
We got this thing all rehabbed. It was looking really good, and the federal tax credit's over, right? So what happened is it shut off. And if you shut off the drip to your faucet, no more water comes out, right?
Right.
Nothing was closing.
Oh.
So I finished this rehab. Looked great, had bamboo floors.
Yeah.
Knotty alder, that was the style back then.
That's right.
So there's a little bit of a homeless traffic problem along 9th
I
West,
know that
right?
area. I've had problems with the homeless in that area.
Yeah, it's been fun, right?
Yeah, show up and someone's sleeping in the house.
Yep, that's happened. So we got it under contract. I'm not sure what the time frame was. We had it under contract, single mom, and guess what she does? There's a sex offender living next door. They had moved in.
Oh my gosh.
Killed myself, right?
Yeah.
Another problem is we staged it, right? Hey, let's make this more appealing to a buyer. Let's make it look like their furniture could live here.
Yes.
We had somebody break in. We only got half the stuff, but
oh my gosh.
right? Like theft isn't a real issue, and it's not necessarily just the theft of the stuff, it's the damage they do getting it out of there, or breaking the door or the window. So this is what really happened, and I visibly remember waking up in the middle of the night sweating over this property. I held this thing almost a full year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we originally listed it for 133 and just kept going down and going down. Ended up selling it for 96 grand with 4,000 in concessions, which really sucks.
Yeah.
But this is what happened is I actually thought I was only losing 10 grand. And I actually lost, once your numbers were done, I lost over 25 grand.
Oh.
So, and what's interesting is if I'd have held it another year, I think I would have broken even or made money.
Yeah.
And I've tracked this property.
Oh, yeah.
In 2015, it sold for 150, and it just traded last year for 250.
No way.
And it is exact same condition as what I put it in.
Wow.
So, I've got 3 lessons for you.
Please.
Based on this, and this is good for me to remember as well. So, number 1, don't buy on a busy street.
Yes.
Super tempting, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have okay results, and sometimes you have a nightmare like I had.
Yes.
Number 2, time kills and it heals all deals.
Nice.
So that time frame really hurt me, right?
Right.
But if I had had a different perspective, it would have earned out, right?
Yep.
If I had turned it into a rental or whatever else, it would have been okay. Lesson number 3: once you're in a hole, reevaluate your escape plan. So for me, I like to go into an investment very singularly purposed. So for lack of a better term, I burn the bridges, right?
Right.
This is the only way I'm going.
Yeah.
And it typically works out for me really well. But if you get down a hole and the game changes for you, it's okay to reevaluate and make a new escape plan. And I think if I would have done that differently,
Yes.
it would have worked out better.
If you could go back and do it again, knowing what you know now, knowing it just traded last year for $250, would you have converted it into a rental and held it all this time, even though you've remodeled it for a flip? But you just said the condition's the same. So knowing what you know now, you think you would have just stuck it out?
I want to say yes. I would have turned that into a rental and kept it because I think it would have been fine. Here was the other caveat to it. I had, 125 grand sitting in it.
Yes.
Cash, right?
Yes.
And so what I wanted, and I visibly remember, is I wanted my money back so I could do about 3 other deals.
Yeah.
So I made other money on other opportunities.
Yes.
And so it was just, it was holding me up from a missed opportunity category.
Absolutely. And had you held it, you probably would have lost more than 19,000, or 25,000 you said, right? 25,000 would have lost. In opportunity cost, you would have lost more than 25,000 had you held it probably.
So in a better terms, the financial markets were in a dump too.
Yeah.
So if I could have refinanced it and kept it, I should have done that and invested my cash in other things.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, very cool. Did you look into refinancing back then?
That was 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure I was in a pickle.
Yeah.
Or that I couldn't finance it.
Right.
But, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you know this, but I had a similar story in that I had the next door neighbor that was like the next door neighbor nobody wants when they're trying to flip a house.
Yeah. Oh, I've had those.
I went under contract and lost my buyer 6 times. 5. The 6th one finally closed. And the reason the 6th one, in my opinion, finally closed is because in between the 5th and the 6th, the next door neighbor got foreclosed on and officially got evicted from the bank. So then the house was vacant. And because it was vacant, the 6th buyer, when they went to do their home inspection and show up, they realized nobody was next door, where the other 5 realized who was next door, and I lost 5 buyers. Same thing, price reduction. I think we were projected to make 30 grand on that, and we walked out with like 6.
Yeah.
And I was just grateful.
Hey, your neighbors really do impact your value. I've mowed neighbors' lawns when I'm trying to sell a house.
Yes.
There was a neighbor, I told him, I had bids, I was going to pay 5 grand to paint his house.
Oh,
It
wow.
looked like White Castle.
Yeah.
But with all the paint coming off.
Yeah.
It was atrocious, and that was the biggest feedback we got.
Wow. Did you do it?
We were almost ready to, and then we went under contract.
Oh, that's good. All right, we have a mutual friend who almost did the same thing with the across the street neighbor. And it was a higher end neighborhood, Mill Creek, if you can imagine. Actually went and saw it. Maybe, I don't know if you saw it, but they had, the living room had a glass floor.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you know who I'm talking about. So this glass floor across the street, same thing, neighbor, terrible. And this individual told me, he's like, dude, we're going to probably pay to get that house cleaned up and painted.
Yeah. Yeah, it impacts.
Yeah, and they ended up not having to at the last minute either. Somebody ended up picking it up. But that glass floor was pretty cool, huh?